I've been collecting client stories for a long time, and I have a little notebook in which I even have like this little section, like how did I pull that off session? And and then in 2019, there comes Gerald's article with Navid on the effective turn. And there, Gerald and Navid were just really creating that bridge between contemporary narrative practice and the things that I was interested in.
And how did you decide on your intended audience?
Well, for me, it was always geared towards practitioners.
I was thinking about some of my students who are very interested in emotion and affect. Also wondering that there might be some folks who've been around narrative therapy for a long time. And what are folks writing about at the moment, given, a lot of changes that have taken place in the last 40 years.
And for me, you really contributed a lot of perspective too on, working with Native communities. And I really love that chapter that you wrote on, integrating their perspective and how you were acknowledging that, Native First Nation people have been doing some of this for a really long time.
Marie-Natalie did the largest amount of writing in the book, and we've got some amazing stories. I think the stories are critically important in seeing what the work looks like, because that's what the students want to know. It's all very well, talking about these theoretical and philosophical ideas, but how does it work in practice?
Some of these stories were just like, I'll remember these clients just very, big struggles or like amazing turning point. And they have taught me a lot.
I keep thinking about, I guess it's even the subtitle of the book, of 40 plus ways to support the emergence of flourishing identities. How did that happen?
I didn't make up all 40 practices. I mean, that subtitle came because at some point I had the thought that it would be so nice for readers to have a table at the end of the book with all the practices in the book. There's some of the practices that are classic narrative therapy practices from David and Michael White, like externalizing and deconstruction, all of that. And I just kind of added to that list. I think part of me is always kind of trying to invite people from other theoretical orientations to look at these ideas.
One of my favorite parts is indeed the appendix. And usually appendix are just add-ons. I just love your charts and the things that you have about like changing wording from problem-focused questions to reauthoring questions.
I think this was a great experience, Peggy. Thank you for facilitating this interview.
Totally a pleasure. And everybody come on back then.
I didn't realize that how emotions were something that was cultural. I hadn't really thought of that before. And the book goes into a great story around that. I'm looking for more context for that. And that's just rich. It gives me a long ways to go, I think.
Reading this has been an experience of integration. In particular, I'm referring to chapter 7 and the concept of somatic expression in indigenous cultures. Think about like the fear is in your stomach and, the love in your heart. Now I feel more welcome as a practitioner or more encouraged to pay more attention to how these experiences, embodied experiences of emotions, how they are located within the body and how we can give voice to that as part of my therapy work with narrative contextual therapy.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for this book. It came at a good time for me as well. I'm thinking about some of my own work with men who have abused, like in the context of domestic violence, and how critical it is to use some of the strategies to kind of just even scaffold the physiology or the room to be able to have a particular type of conversation.
And for me, I decided to just discard anything that had to do with fixed genetic predictions, right? Like at some point they claim to have found the gene for happiness. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Well, now you have all these people thinking they don't have the gene for happiness. I also did some training in brain spotting and just found it really interesting how, none of us before would have thought of just paying attention to where a person's eyes are gazing and then what we can do with that. And so, yeah, the body expresses things that the mind has not noticed yet. And it's really valuable to have, practices and ways of engaging in conversations about them.